Hello and good evening from a stormy south of France. Hello to Paulie and Pip and Bernadette. Good evening to you all. Here we are. It is um, unfortunately rather stormy here. I hope you can hear me. I hope the rain is not going to interrupt. Leslie and Anna and Lily and Mother Duck, Lorna, Urquhart and Nicole and Lainey and Linda and Melissa and Rue, Busted and Kaz and Nicole and Angela Thompson. Oh, the lovely Angela. Thank you for all your messages earlier, Angela. And Steve Fisher. I think we have lots of different people. Anyway, the Pennine Counties. A very good evening from Lancashire. Well, as you know, I went to school in Lancashire, so good evening to you. That does not mean I don't love Yorkshire, because I also lived there very briefly, also at one point in my life. There we go. So the War of the Roses was long ago concluded, so we don't need to go on about that. And Nicole says, good evening from Edinburgh. Now, that's a place I truly love, and the Royal Mile and the Balmoral Hotel. I once ran away and stayed there as a child. It was a very naughty thing I did. I decided to stow away on the train, and I did pay for the ticket, and I didn't tell my mother I was going, and then I checked into the Balmoral Hotel, and I stayed there for 2 days, and I was rather in a lot of trouble when I came back, but I had several days in Edinburgh at some wonderful places. So there you go. I used to do this randomly as a child. I'd like to go off to random places, and because I could get myself to a train station, I thought, well, I'd just go, and that's what I did. And Edinburgh was my probably biggest journey I managed, but I never managed to escape the country because I could never find the passport, but I probably would have tried that also if I could have possibly got away with it. But there we go. So anyway, we have lots to talk about this evening, and I'm sure if our dear friends are here who like quizzes, if our friend that likes to help us with the quizzes here, I don't know, but we will have to see about that later. So anyway, today has been a day of storms here in the south of France. It rained and rained and rained and rained a bit more, and I sat and waited for a useless company called Orange. They did not show up. They are a disgrace. I will be going to confront them tomorrow because there is no need for rudeness, and we have waited now on 3 occasions for this useless, ineffectual, bag of bilge company. So we will be going to deal with them tomorrow. Anyway, that's just the boring point that's of no relevance. Harriet has said she is going to be back in her role as Debbie McGee. Well, Harriet, we're going to be talking first, at a later point in this program, about a neighbour of Debbie McGee, the dreadful late Rolf Harris, and his dreadful beaded freak wife, and his dreadful, bizarre, change your name daughter. So, yes, so there we go. The River Thames will come into it, and Debbie McGee is always out there flogging kitchen cabinets on the television, some kind of junk, horrible, renew your doors of your kitchen cabinets with Debbie McGee, magic Debbie McGee. Let's all remember who the real Debbie McGee was. You are wonderful, but the original Debbie McGee was that dreadful woman who went on the Mrs. Merton show and was asked the question, what was it that first attracted you to the multimillionaire Paul Daniels? And she giggled and she didn't get the joke. The wonderful Caroline Aherne was a great comedian. And Mrs. Merton, the Mrs. Merton show, we need more shows like Mrs. Merton in this country, and we need more keeping up appearances with Hyacinth Bucket and things like that. The modern humour is not good enough. The Catherine Tate we miss. And even, Little Britain, David Walliams. And I know David Walliams is going through a lot of troubles. And thank you to Tina da Silva. You would like me to be on Big Brother? No, I don't think so. But thank you for your £10 donation. That's very generous of you, Tina da Silva. I appreciate all your kindness, and all the kind parcels, I believe, have been sent to the magnet. And I'm sorry I don't have my magnet glass, but I should have done. But I raise a glass to everybody at the magnet. I miss you all. I will be coming to see you all again in November, and I will be back in England then. But thank you very much to Tina da Silva for your kindness. That's totally unnecessary, but much appreciated. And right, well, I shall begin today by talking about an issue that I really think is unacceptable, that this Bibby Stockholm has been reinstated. Now, most people don't actually know this, but the Bibby Stockholm is costing more per head to house people on than keeping them in hotels. So all you people that want people locked up, asylum seekers who come on the small boats, this Bibby Stockholm is not your solution. This is a stupid idea of Rishi Sunak and the biggest pest in the country, and I'll come to her, Suella Braverman. They have wasted a fortune giving some Brexiteer all this money to dock this stupid 50-year-old piece of junk that had Legionnaire's disease on it, all the rest of it. So, they're going to put 506 people on it. And today, the Bibby Stockholm was stopped briefly, the arrivals, by the Just Stop Oil protesters. Now, the Just Stop Oil protesters are equally awful. I would send in a water cannon to deal with them wherever they go. Just Stop Oil protesters are vandals and disgraces. They're mental cases, they're deranged, and they belong in the same place as Greta Thunberg. Put them in prison. Awful people. Anyway, the driver of the coach just pushed on and he got through them. But I don't salute him for taking these poor people to this boat. I feel sorry for these people are being put on this perilous craft that is dangerous. It is clearly not fit for purpose. It's 50 years old. It's a piece of junk. And Rishi Sunak is doing this just to try and appease the nation and try and win an election that he can never win. This man is trying to make himself look tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime. Do we remember who used to come out with phrases like that? Previous politicians who also became to be rather hated. This boat is a symbolic piece of junk. It is a disgrace and it's a disaster. And the people of Portland, Dorset, which is a beautiful place, their tourism industry will be ruined by this bloody boat being present in their community. Anyway, the Portland Global Friendship Group produced welcome bags. Can you imagine this? These poor people are being dragged back to this boat where previously they were scared of getting Legionnaire's disease. They were given welcome packs by these Portland Global Friendship Group, whoever they are. They got shampoo, toothpaste, notebooks, and a map of the local area. They didn't even bother to give them a bottle of beer. It's utterly disgraceful. I think they should have given them something to cheer them up after being dragged to that piece of rubbish. Anyway, Annika of the charity remarked, and she wouldn't give her surname, to the Daily Mail, "We just want to welcome the refugees and make a gesture to show that the people here who care. I think the barge is a horrible idea. It feels oppressive. It feels like a prison. The amount of security they have to go through. The local councillor and mayor of Portland does not want it either. Carolyn Parks. she attempted to go for a High Court order against the lawfulness of the barge against Suella Braverman, and I'm going to come to Suella Braverman in a moment. Suella Braverman has had a very bad day today. She's a very stupid woman anyway. She added, the Bibby Stockholm is not the way humane society treats vulnerable human beings. I say inmates, or whatever they are, whatever you want to call these people of these poor souls that are being fingerprinted as they're taken onto this thing, but they are going to be allowed out into the local community. It's a terrifying residence. It's like a prison. Nothing on this barge has gone well, I say. It is 50 years old. It's rotten and it's unfit for use. It is costing more per head than it costs to put people in hotels. So what is the point of this barge other than giving Rishi Sunak's rich Tory donors income because they are charging millions of pounds in rent to have it bloody parked there, and they are having millions of pounds to supply it. Now, that is a disgrace. But the locals fear increased crime in their community. They don't want 506 men on a boat who are being cooped up on a dreadful boat that was full of Legionnaire's disease, who want to escape at any moment they possibly can to come into their town. You know, the local GPs are already overstretched, as they are in every community. Tell me when you can get an appointment with your GP. I'm sitting next to somebody who has no end of trouble getting hospital appointments. It's a total disgrace. It is utterly outrageous that they bring 506 extra people into this elderly community where it is not a suitable place to have this bloody barge. It is going to impact on tourism. The tourism of there. Portland is a lovely place, I'm told. People will not want to go to look at a barge. They will ruin this town. There will be more antisocial behaviour. And as the fire brigades people say, this boat is a serious fire risk. This is going to end in tears. You know, we've already had the disaster of the Grenfell Tower. This bloody boat is a floating nightmare. It has already had Legionnaire's disease. It's already been condemned as unfit for purpose. It's already been told that they had to put on more extra routes out of it in case of a fire. It is a stupid policy by Rishi Sunak, who is trying to look tough on crime and tough on the small boats people. He is a pompous prat. You know, he spends so much money on heating his bloody swimming pool at his mansion he probably never even visits that the Just Stop Oil people managed to climb all over. And I did say I supported the fact that should never have happened. That's a terrible criminal thing. But equally, does he not have proper security? Him and his normal billionaire-esque wife, can they not afford to pay for some private security? Like, equally, why doesn't he start paying for his own private jet? I'm sick of hearing of him jetting around. He's worse than Greta bloody Thunberg. Anyway, I shall move on to another topic. Today, the New European, yesterday, they published it. I read about it today. Published their 2023 SH, I won't use the word, Star T list. This is 50 people that they call the top 50 most objectionable people in British public life. They added, it's a nightmare, inducing lineup of national embarrassments, rabid self-promoters and ranting ideologues who between them have given us Brexit, populism, immigrant paranoia, Boris Johnson and other horrors. I would say most of the people amongst these, and I disagree with them on one or two. You know, I think they were very nasty to Lord Ashcroft. I don't think Lord Ashcroft is a bad person. He's never done me any harm. I think he's actually a decent person, but I don't think he should have been on their list. But I say most of those people are of the 50 people who should make up 10% of the Bibby Stockholm. Let's take off 10% of the immigrants put on there and put on this little lot. I think that these people should be thrown on the Bibby Stockholm. The one who came in at number 50, the end of the list was Charlotte Owens, now Baroness Owens. Now, nobody seems to know who quite she is or why she's there, other than she was associated with Boris Johnson. And there have been all sorts of allegations about what she is to Boris Johnson. I shan't go into it. Oh gosh, and thank you to Tina for yet another £10. Tina has now given another £10. I don't know how I respond to this. This is very kind of you, Tina. So you've now given £20. That's very generous. So Charlotte Owens, according to the New European, embodies pretty much everything that is wrong with modern Britain. If anyone knows of a good reason for this 30-year-old to be in the House of Lords on £342 per day for the rest of her life, please email us. I totally agree. Charlotte Owens has not accomplished anything in her life other than working in a government department for Boris Johnson. And she gets given £342 a day for the rest of her life. She's won the bloody lottery. It's an utter disgrace. This piece of toe rag has no qualification in anything. She does not serve any purpose. People like my friend Nat Way, who I used to know, Lord Way, he created an organization called Teach First. It took people who worked in management consulting firms and encouraged them to become teachers. He was put into the House of Lords by the Conservative Party. He is actually somebody who contributes to society. He is an ex-McKinsey worker, and he is somebody who contributes. I think that gentleman deserved to be put into the House of Lords at a young age by David Cameron's government, a sensible gentleman. James wants thoughts on me. I don't know what you want thoughts on me. There you go, whoever you are. I'm not sure who you are, James, but I don't know why you want to think about me, but there we are. Moving along. The winner, of course, on the list was Suella Braverman. The person Britain could most do without in 2023. I shall now read you her entry. This horrible, vile, dreadful woman. With her furtive grin and vastly overinflated CV, Suella Braverman has risen through the Tory party to become the nation's most high-profile populist. Unencumbered by a sense of proportion, compassion, human decency, or self-awareness, Braverman once announced that she was engaged in a battle against cultural Marxism, a remark that led her to be compared to the mass murderer Anders Breivik. It also won her a complaint from the Board of Deputies of British Jews, who regard the phrase as having anti-Semitic overtones. She has justified her support for Brexit, saying it would allow Britain to get rid of all this woke rubbish, and famously remarked that sending immigrants to Rwanda was her dream. She said she looked forward to seeing the aeroplane, if I recall. She is completely mad. Recently delivered a speech to the eye-wateringly right-wing American Enterprise Institute before her appearance at Tory party conference, where she called immigration a hurricane. In remarks so extreme, they were even condemned by fellow Conservatives. A British nationalist of the worst kind, she will probably end up leading the post-defeat Tory party and is a worthy recipient of this year's The Person Britain Could Most Do Without award. Many congratulations to her. She really is absolutely abhorrent. But, you know, this is a list that also includes others such as 30p Lee Anderson. You know, it's rather a predictable list. I have to say, when I do a list of this type, I like to mix it up with a few others. But they are a very political title, so fair enough. They stick with politicians. They've got, you know, Isabel Oakeshott, They've got the golfy dimwit Prince Andrew, the cocksure little Nepo baby that he is, the hedge fund ghoul and alleged sex pest Crispin Odie, PG Woodhouse without the sense of humour, warmth, empathy of talent that is Quentin Lett, Jim Davidson, Farage as in garage, and all the usual suspects. But Rishi Sunak made only position 20, as in he was only described as a failure. I think that's rather weak of them. Ben Carr would like to donate £100 now. 100 now. I don't know what you want to donate 100 to, but thank you if you wish to donate 100 to something, but I'm not sure what you wish to donate to. I don't know how things come up in orange next to my name, but Tina De Silva says Oakshott is a traitor. Yes, well, she's a complete weirdo, along with her partner, Richard Tice, who gets... I used to run into rather a lot in Waitrose, Belgravia, Celebrity Waitrose, as it was nicknamed in the locality. Anyway, that's another story for another evening. Russell Brand appeared on the list at position number 30, and thank you to Melissa for her £2 donation. That's very generous of you. Thank you, Melissa, but I don't expect all these donations. It's very generous. Angela Byrne says Jim Davidson was one of the vilest specimens on the planet Earth. Well, he remains still one of the vilest specimens on planet Earth. I was once in the Carlton Club in the company of somebody who will remain nameless, and he walked in, so we had to walk out. I'll tell you that. There we go. Anyway, we shall now move along to another topic, and that is the topic of one of the most dreadful people I have ever come across. And that is Rolf Harris and his daughter, the late Rolf Harris. I'm just trying to find my notes here. Doing this on the computer is very confusing for me because I'm not a very technical person, but I thought I had placed my notes in my own personal thing alongside it, but we will come to this in a second. Yes, Bindi Nichols, whilst I'm trying to find it, has changed her name. Bindi Nichols is the daughter of Rolf Harris. Ms. Nichols is somebody who has lived off the reputation of her father whilst also disowning him at various chapters in both their lives. So Ms. Nichols is now known as Ava Reeves. Now, I don't know how much you all know about Rotten Rolf and his dreadful daughters. Oh, here we are. I'm having more trolls arrive. Right. Okay. Hello to the troll. You're going to go away. Bye-bye to the troll. Amazing how these trolls come up. As soon as I start to talk about Rolf Harris, I get this. I understand. So we just blocked another troll. We won't name them ever because there's no point. So Rolf Harris, of course, was somebody who went to prison for terrible, vile crimes. But his daughter, Bindi Nichols, has been like a yo-yo in her support for her father. She once wrote him a letter criticizing him, and it's very publicly known, and it's been seen. So absolutely ridiculous. But the latest Rolf troll was immediately blocked. So Bindi Nichols is now promoting herself as Ava Reeves, avareeves.com. Please don't go and support it, but I have to say the website is very odd because the contact form does not work. So God knows what on earth she's doing, but with all that money, you think she could employ a better web designer. She calls herself a professional fine artist, London-based, claims to have had an intense fascination for psychotherapy. But if you had a father called Rolf Harris, you probably would yourself. It drives an internal journey of self-discovery in her artwork. She adds, my practice has always focused on my exploration in the self. Well, she's very selfish, just like our awful father. In the last 2 years, my internal world has enlarged to engulf the canvas. It has become a landscape, a journey. Yes, the last journey you had with your father was down the river in a reever boat. You went to take him to prison. Yes, they travelled from Bray, Berkshire, from their hideous, revolting, ugly home called Highlands in Bray, Maidenhead, Berkshire, to somewhere near Southwark Crown Court, where they could disembark because they thought they were being clever by going by boat. And they didn't think they were going to be photographed, or maybe rotten Rolf thought he could say up yours to everyone. Anyway, that's that. She continues. In the last 2 years, my internal world has enlarged to engulf the canvas. It has become a landscape, a journey. My intention has been to fill the spaces with patterns or areas of darkness. Well, she definitely led a very dark life alongside her father, because one of the victims of her father was one of her friends, one of her close friends. That is utterly abhorrent. Now, I'm not saying it's her fault, but what a horrible thing. She wanted to create internal landscapes that feel claustrophobic and to play with the problem of finding depth, expanse, and calm within the same chaotic plane, almost as if it is in meditation. She's just as deranged as her weird mother, the woman with the beads in her hair, the weird Alwyn Hughes, the old freak. Nasty piece of toe rag also. I feel my way through into my own subconscious, she says. I'm giving myself permission to be a scientist. She sounds on the same mental path as Ghislaine Maxwell, utterly bloody nuts. Totally deranged. To investigate those marks, to dissect, magnify, and explore them. Is this woman... Has she been drinking the Kool-Aid? Is she on crack? Is she on cocaine? Is she on heroin? There's something wrong with her. I might capture an essence, a momentary glimpse of a truth in gesture. The work in itself has begun to have a personality. Ooh. And identity. The work is informing the work. The work is informing the work. What does she want to do? Go and work at the benefits office? Seriously, this woman is off her merry rocker. One has begun to feed the others. I would say she is utterly bonkers. She names her influences, including Gerhard Richter and Patrick Heron, as being the people who've inspired her. She makes not a single mention of Rolf Harris. Isn't that telling? But what did she get from Rolf Harris? She inherited, alongside her son Marlon, millions. This is a lady who was educated at Amersham College, Bristol Polytechnic. She's had shows in New South Wales, Australia, obviously courtesy of her father's influence. and the Halcyon Gallery, which was a gallery that used to sell, guess what? Rolf Harris's works. The Mall Galleries, where Rolf Harris exhibited. She seems happy to take advantage of her father's connections in the past when it suited her. She was his only child, so she was probably an overindulged child, I would assume. Um, and an unnamed source told The Sun this morning, obviously anything by Harris is pretty much unsellable. So Bindi is working under the pseudonym in a bid to be taken seriously in the art world. So Bindi cannot she cannot stand for herself. What a shameful piece of toe rag. She's chuffed that the galleries have begun to take on some of her pieces. I say I hope her pieces go the same well as her evil, abusing father. He was convicted in June 2014 of 12 incidents of assault. I'm not using any of these words, the trigger words that supposedly YouTube don't want. One was just 8 years old. One was a close friend of Bindi, or Ava, as she now calls herself. Sounds a bit like Eva. You know, there was another Eva in the past, if you think of a bunker. Yes. He got a 5-year, 9-month sentence, the rotten person. I'm glad he died of neck cancer. I wish he'd died I hope he burnt in hell. You know, he went visiting schools in locality in Berkshire when he got out of prison, and he was waving at children in the schoolyard. He used to go to the same curry house as Theresa May, and he used to put cartoons about him on the wall. I hope that Malik's curry house have finally taken those down. And you know, he had his little friend William Merritt, who wrote a book about him. I'm not going to give the title because I don't want to give it promotion. Absolutely nasty piece of nonce. Terrible person. I hope Rolf Harris rots in hell. And I'm very glad that people burned his artwork. And as for that horrible house, Highlands, where he abused lots of people, I hope the £5 million dump that looks like a council block is knocked to the ground one day soon. One of my friends and I remember we used to go to a restaurant called Noor Jahan, Dina Gardens, South Kensington. Lovely Indian restaurant. He was obsessed with Indian food. Even when he was in prison, he was banging on about it. An Australian friend of mine who was a model, we sat next to him and his weird wife, and he was very creepy towards her, and she said, creepy old lech. And I have to say, you know, this monster did some terrible things. And I've had a tirade of abuse from his supporters over the years. There was a woman called Lizzie Cornish. Now, Miss Cornish used to report me and many other people to the police in Devon and Cornwall police, saying we endangered the life of Rolf Harris after he was convicted. And she was a complete lunatic and fruitcake of the first order. Now, Miss Cornish, let me find my little picture of her and with my notes. She used to go by the Twitter handle, Rolf Harris is innocent, all in capital letters with lots of exclamation marks. I'm a woman pissed off by lying women. That was one of his supporters. She was totally deranged. And then another of his supporters was another creep, Jonathan King, another convicted criminal. These people are very odd. Andrew Rossendale used to pose with him, MP, an MP not seen in Parliament for many, many months. A bit like Nadine Dorries, he used to pose with Jimmy Savile, his dear friend. He used to hang around with Cliff Richard. You know, he used to pose with Boris Johnson on the chat shows. Theresa May's favorite restaurant, he was always in there as well with, you know, This is somebody absolutely appalling. But let me illustrate how appalling he truly is. Whilst in prison, he penned a verse. It was called Gutter Girls. This is what he said of his victims. This revolting man wrote this horrible song. Climb up out of the woodwork, babe, from 40 years ago. The climate's great in Britain now for making loads of dough. You've festered down there long enough, time's right to grab your chance. Clap eyes on a rich celebrity, horrible word, and make the bastard dance. Chorus, make him squirm, slimy little woodworm. Make him squirm, squirm, squirm. Sink your claws right into the hilt, don't let him go. Group, no, no, no. Make him burn, burn, burn. Slimy little woodworm, make him burn. Get your 50 years old hooks into his dough. Group, go baby, go. That old bandwagon you crawled out of, rotten to the core, conceals a host of foul accusers, 20 maybe more. My guess is they'll slide after you, all following your stench. Perhaps you'll believe you're pretty still, some perfumed, sultry wench. Chorus, make him squirm. I can hear you singing. Make him squirm, squirm, squirm. Just imagine all the money waiting there. Group, oh yeah. Make him burn, burn, burn. Come and join the feeding frenzy. Don't miss out. Come on and join me for your share. Group, put it there. That is the legacy of this monstrous, evil man who lived at Highlands, Fishery Road, Bray, Maidenhead. He was worth millions by the time he died. He got royalties galore whilst in prison. And he was rotten to his core. I don't know who James is, but have we got someone called James? Yes, I don't know. Oh, James wants thoughts on me. Right, well, let's get rid of James. Bye-bye, James. You're gone. Right, everyone is complaining about him. Yes, well, I didn't know the other one I just got rid of. I didn't understand, but I had no idea. There we are. So, yes, that's the woodwork poem. I have to say, absolutely appalling man. He is someone who will not be remembered fondly, but this daughter of his, why doesn't she give some of the millions that she inherited to the victims? If she wants to change her reputation, why doesn't she go and do something to help the victims? That is what I say. That is the only decent thing she could do. Or her grandson, or her son, Marlon, his grandson, if he inherited all the money, why doesn't he do it? Instead, she is trying to profiteer and still use connections. She's still promoting on her website the very same galleries that promoted him. So, and I do know quite a lot about those galleries. So, yeah, don't worry. I'm going to continue to go after you, Bindi Nichols. You're not really called Ava Reeves. Your name is Bindi Nichols, and you're actually surely Bindi Harris is your real name. Anyway, whatever you are, we're not going to forget about you. You're a disgrace. You defended that rotten, evil man that was your father, and I did the same to Max Clifford and his dreadful daughter, and I will not stop exposing bad people. So mark your cards. I'm watching you, Bindi Nichols. That's all I have to say on you this evening. Anyway, our next topic I have not made notes upon, but I have read a lot about. Program out there about Colleen Rooney. And it's a new Disney program about Wagatha and I've seen the trailer, and I say well done to Colleen Rooney for standing up against that dreadful Rebecca Vardy. You know, she actually was clever enough to put it on, even understanding how the whole saga went. Tina De Silva has sent yet another £10. You'll never shut me up. Oh, well, I don't know what you would like to say, Tina, but you've now sent £30 this evening. That's very generous of you. That will pay for a bottle of wine. Thank you ever so much. There we go. But no, I have to say that the Colleen Rooney situation is, I think well done her. She put her own reputation on the line. She actually showed that she wasn't as dumb as people made her out to be, and she stood up for her family against a complete moron, Rebecca Vardy, who clearly is a complete psycho. Why would you need to behave in that fashion towards somebody who, you're meant to be working with, not against? But Angela would like me to distribute the money of Bibby Harris to the victims. We won't be doing that. It's up to her to do it herself. But no, Colleen, as Garden Rooms here says, Colleen did very well in the court case, yes. Simon Coates says you can buy a wine box for £30, but, well, no, if someone's going to send me £30, I'll buy a very nice bottle of wine and enjoy a very reasonable bottle of wine, or several bottles of wine, whatever. But anyway, never mind. We are focused here on Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy and this program. Now, I haven't seen it. Have any of you seen it? Have any views? Some of you are complaining that there is buffering. Oh, yes. Well, you have a storm on the Isle of Wight. Well, there we go. I think everybody else can still hear me, so we will not be stopping on this one occasion. There we go. Rebecca Vardy was really quite tardy. I think that's quite a good little rhyme, Harry Giles. Thank you for that. Johnny does not want us to waste our breaths on Rebecca Vardy, but Harry Giles says the sound here is fine. Paulie is not interested in the wags, but no, I think that the whole saga is just evidence of social media at its very, very worst. And, Colleen Rooney actually has come out of this rather well, whereas Rebecca Vardy didn't even know what Davy Jones's locker was. And that was a particularly ridiculous moment in the whole saga, I thought. So there we go. So that was that. I shan't say any more about it since you're not that interested in it. Anyway, today is 33 years and 7 months since the arrest of Eric and Lyle Menendez. And my friend Robert Rand, who is a gentleman from California who covered the trial 33 years ago in California, has been supporting them ever since. They are two victims of familial abuse, and I again call today upon Gavin Newsom, and I knew you when you were mayor of San Francisco. Please help these two people get out of prison. They were victims of familial abuse, and new evidence has emerged, and it is jolly well time that justice was done for the Menendez brothers. They were abused by their mother and their father. They were evil, evil people, that mother and father. Very rich, evil people. And it seems the father also abused other people, because there has been another program recently. It is time for justice for the Menendez brothers. It is wonderful that the TikTok generation, millions and millions of young people who were not even born until the 1990s, 2000s, 2010s even, are now supporting the Menendez brothers. They are innocent people of murder. They were guilty, I would say, of manslaughter. They have served their time. A wicked woman in England who was the Duchess of York, Fergay's dresser, she murdered somebody in cold blood and she served 12 years. That is disgraceful. And that psycho did other things after she got out of jail. She should have been kept in jail a hell of a lot longer. These two brothers were victims of familial abuse, and they were basically put in a position if they didn't flee, they would have been killed. So what did they do? They were abused from the ages 4 or 5 years old by their father. Their mother, she was a complete psycho also, by all accounts. They were supported by their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, everybody. Everybody said that the father, who used to employ O.J. Simpson to do adverts for his company, was a complete psychopath. And he abused, it now seems, various pop stars that he also had associations with, young boys. A very wicked, evil man. Eric and Lyle Menendez deserve to be freed. Come on, Gavin. You are going to be president of America, most likely. I think it's time that you manned up, growed up, and showed up and supported a cause for real justice. You brought in gay marriage in San Francisco. You helped that community. These two brothers are just two simple people who had their lives taken away when they were children, and they had to go through 2 televised trials, and the shamefulness and the terrible con that was performed there, absolutely appalling. And the lies that were told that have subsequently been proven to be lies. Let the Menendez brothers out of prison. It is something that you could possibly help with, so please try and do it. You are a decent man, Gavin Newsom, and I would urge you to do something good. I campaign in Britain to help people like Omar Benguet, and his lovely sister and I have come to have a dialogue. Mark Alexander and I deal with his cousin, Kenwyn. People who have been wrongly jailed, people who are supported by people like Terry Waite, a man who held hostage for 7 years. We need some compassion and humanity for these victims who are wrongly imprisoned. Please help them. I would urge you, please, to do that. Anyway, on that note, I think we've done enough of seriousness, and now you might want your quiz. So I don't know if my Debbie McGee in the background is available. Here is Harriet, ready when you are. Right, Harriet. Thank you very much, Harriet. We are now lowering the tone to the quiz. And some of these quiz questions are, of course, out of date, but I will choose a random page. I'm soon going to need a new quiz book. I try to remember if I don't write in books, you see, because I view that to be a terrible thing to do. I don't think I've done this page before. No, but anyway, I don't like the questions. Right, I definitely haven't done this page. Right, I should have just gone from page 1 and done it that way, shouldn't I? That would have been much easier. Right, question number 1. In which decade did Wallace Carruthers develop nylon? We need the decade, not the year. If you can give the year, you get an extra point. We'll give 2 points if you get the year. Tina De Silva has now given another £10 So, Tina, thank you. You've taken up your donations this evening to £40. Thank you very much. That pays for a very nice bottle of wine. At this rate, I'll be able to afford a bottle of Chateau Minute. That's the local wine down here. We're nearly at the figure. Anyway, question number one. The first person to get the answer correctly was Woodstocks with the 1930s. Woodstocks gets the point with the 1930s. On my screen, that is the case. So I'm sorry to those of you that don't think that this is correct, because you all think you get to see things in different order. I can only read from my screen, so please don't start complaining. We don't need any of that this evening. Thank you very much. Todd is a dialect word for which predatory mammal? Todd. You think it's Rishi Sunak's wife is a Todd? Oh. Quite possibly. No, she's more like the answer, the fox, because she's very cunning. Anna Perkins gets the point with fox, but no, Rishi Sunak's wife is definitely a Todd. She's a Todd fox. Question number 3. In history, which British-born statesman formed the British South Africa Company in 1889? It wasn't Tucker Jenkins from Grange Hill, no. So, Doc Savage, you are wrong. It wasn't Disraeli, but Simon Coates gets the point. Simon Coates with Cecil Rhodes. Question number 4. If A is Alpha and Z is Zulu, what is Y? It's not Frank Bruno. No. Mellifera gets the point with Yankee. Mellifera. So we have some new ones. Right. Limahl was the lead singer of which 1980s pop group? And I cannot pronounce their name. And Nicole gets it with Kajagoogoo. Kajagoogoo. I can't say I've ever heard of Kajagoogoo. But Nicole was the first to guess it and spelt it completely correctly, which is something I would never be able to do, given I've never even heard of it. Question number 6. In the UK, traditionally, the violet is a flower associated with which month? The violet, which month? It's not the Wombles. It's not May. And it's not November. And Harry Giles wants to send gifts to the magnet. So thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Right. The answers coming in are currently incorrect. Bambi Debonair gets the point with February. Bambi Debonair gets the point. The rest of you are all over the place. Definitely not in the right month. You clearly don't know when you need your violets. I think of Violet Elizabeth Bott. I think of Reginald Crumpton and Just William when I think of the word violet. But there we go. Right, question number 7. Which European capital fell to the Germans on the 27th of September 1939, nearly 4 weeks after Poland was invaded? It was not Paris and it wasn't France, and Sharon Osm Venom gets it with Warsaw. Sharon Ozen-Veman. There we go. Question number 8. For which country did Viv Richards play Test cricket? Viv Richards. It was not South Africa. No, it wasn't India, and it wasn't England. It wasn't Antigua. It wasn't. The winning answer is Leslie Wilson with West Indies. We are getting a variety of entrants tonight. I think we are having lots of new people joining in tonight, who are quicker and have a faster finger than the usual suspects. So you cannot claim that this quiz is a fix, because we are getting a lot of new entrants here tonight. Question number 9. In which Egyptian city might you visit the Citadel and Ramses Square? The winner is Simon Coates with Cairo. Simon Coates gets the point. Now, this is a very sad question because the lady died a very tragic death subsequently. I haven't thought about her in years. Didn't know her, but anyway. She seemed to be somebody who aimed to do good in the world. In politics, who became International Development Secretary after Labour's 1997 general election victory? It wasn't Mother Teresa, and it wasn't Maggie Thatcher, and it wasn't Mo Mowlam. Busted One gets the name correct, but adds something to it. But I will allow Busted One to win. It's Claire Short. Question 11. In physics, what is measured in Lamberts or lumens? It's not Cilla Black, no. I know you like to answer Cilla Black to everything. Bambi Debonair gets the point with light. Cilla Black was not a ray of light. She was a ray of weirdness. She hung around with Cliff Richard and Rolf Harris and people like that, and Max Clifford. So, no, she was not a ray of light, in my view. Here's a question that I could easily answer, given I used to spend an awful lot of time there, 3 months a year there at one point. Fisherman's Wharf and Nob Hill are landmarks of which Californian city? Bambi Debonair gets the point with San Francisco. Question 13. Who was the first American president to shake hands with Cuban leader Fidel Castro? Think of cigars. There's your clue. It was not Trump, and it wasn't Kennedy, it wasn't Nixon, it wasn't George Washington, it wasn't LBJ, it wasn't Jimmy Carter. You really are useless on this one. Think of cigars and under the desk. Kevin Hentz. Julie R. gets the point with Bill Clinton. It was Bill Clinton. Goodness sakes, I thought some of you would have known a bit more about cigars and Fidel Castro. That's quite a shocking lack of response. Lee James thought it was Mr. Blobby. Well, that could have been a better option. The cigar might have burst his costume. Question 14. The resort of Torremolinos is on which of the Spanish costas? And don't say the Costa del Crime, because, well, I've been listening to the Kinahanans again today, and I recommend to you all the Kinahan one. I'm on to episode number 6, I think, now, and I'll probably do 2 more episodes before I go to bed. But there we go. Right. The first to answer correctly is a new one again, Celeste Forest. Celeste Forest gets the point with Del Sol, the Costa del Sol. Anyway, the Costa del Crime, there's a place you don't want to go. I personally would rather eat wasps, snails, and paving stones, as my old friend Barnaby used to say, whose father was the famous actor Anton Rogers. You get a bonus point if you can name the most famous film that Anton Rogers was in. You can get a bonus point. We'll give one bonus point right now to the first of you to get the answer to that question. What was Anton Rogers' most famous film? It was not Chariots of Fire, and it wasn't Fresh Fields. It was a film. Doc Savage gets the point with Dirty, Rotten Scoundrels. So there you go. There's a question that wasn't in the book, but we've added it for a bonus point. So this may change the game. We may start adding a bonus question. I think this could be the way to do this. No, it was not Kind Hearts and Coronets. He wasn't alive probably when he wasn't in film when that was made. It's one of my favorite films ever, Kind Hearts and Coronets. But there we go. He was in Midsummer Murders, and wow, very knowledgeable. See, I can now prove that people are not cheating and using the book because you are able to answer a question that I threw in that was not in the book. There we go. Question 15. In astrology, name one of the only of the 2 months you could have been born in if your star sign is a Virgo. If you're a Virgo, which months could you be born in? No, it's not June, and it's not February. It's not May. Simon Coates wins with September. It could also have been August. Question 16. Simon Coates got that point. Question 16. In literature, which poet wrote Ode to a Nightingale in 1819? It was not Byron, was certainly not Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen wasn't writing poets in 1819. Wilfred Owen was born in Lancaster, and he was in the First World War. So no, he was not around in 1819. That is a very strange answer, Celeste, but there we go. Mickey Goldmill gets the point. Mickey Goldmill, another new arrival with Keats. John Keats, of course. Question 17. If the speedometer on your car says you are traveling at 120 kilometers per hour, how fast are you going in miles per hour? Well, I'm numerically dyslexic, so it'd be impossible to answer this question. But no, it is not 70, it's not 90, it's not 100. It's not 80, it's not 90, it's not 100. I've already said this. It's not 80. No, it's not 140. It's not too fast. It's not 1 mile an hour. It's not 72. Claudia gets the point with 75 miles per hour. It is 75 miles per hour. There you go. If you're doing 120 kilometers per hour, you are doing 75 miles per hour. Who played, question 18, the female lead in the BBC television drama The Sculptress? Think of The Birds of a Feather if you need a clue. One of the characters from that. And I once went to a funeral where another of the Birds of a Feather ruined the funeral by her appalling antics, but it's not this particular one. Bambi Debonair gets it with Pauline Quirk. I've never met Pauline, but I have met other Birds of a Feather, and I'm not very impressed by the other ones. Question 19, the penultimate question. In geography, Dunn's River Falls at Ocho Rios is a feature of which island? Bambi is now in first place, I'm being told. Bambi is in the lead. Bambi is often in the lead. Claudia gets the point with Jamaica. Claudia gets the point. And finally, the last question. In the animal kingdom, seeker and fallow are both types of which animal? Bambi gets the point with deer. Bambi is very first finger forward. So I'm assuming Bambi is today's winner, but I will await confirmation. We're now at 1 hour and 5 minutes. My goodness, we have gone along. Now, do we have a winner? Or do we have to do a... Bambi is the winner, and Simon Coates comes second. Rue would like a film quiz in the future. Well, perhaps one day we will find. I will find some alternative quiz film books. I'm being poured another glass of wine, so please excuse the noise in the background. Someone is pouring me a glass of wine, so I do excuse the noise because thank you to them. But I know you don't like background noise, but there we are. So the person is doing their job, pouring wine. That's as good. Have you got mini cheddars? No, I don't have mini cheddars, but I have become acclimatized to the local crisps, and I eat lots of local cheese and lots of many other things. But I will be coming back to England in November. I will be in London briefly, and then in Broadstairs, and there will be no Sean Atwood event because it has been postponed by him because I believe he's doing an event with somebody else. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I shall probably have to think about organizing this myself and perhaps doing this with somebody else who is available because so many of you would like me to do one of these things, and I would quite like to go and visit different parts of England and Scotland and Ireland and Wales and other places also. So it is quite possible we can come up with a way to do this without these disorganized people, because frankly, I've encountered two of them thus far, and neither of them have organized it. So it may be better just to do my own thing, because I think that might be a better way of doing it. You know, the wonderful Giles Brandreth, who I love and know and respect, is going all over the UK and doing things, and he's got people organizing things, and it's very straightforward from what I gather. So perhaps it's better to do my own thing. I wished Mr. Atwood and his tour guide well in their endeavors with some kind of tin pot gangster or whatever he is. But frankly, I don't like disorganization. I like planning ahead. I'm very particular about how things are done. If things aren't done my way, it's the highway. So it's jolly well time I probably thought about doing my own thing. Would I like the jump? Do I like the jumpers that Giles Brandreth wears? Giles actually manufactures these jumpers himself. Yes, he's rather cool. I think he's a wonderful, clever man. He's a champion at various games like Monopoly. He was a Conservative MP. He's done many, many, many things in his life, and he's a wit on the radio, and he's on Radio 4. He is a genius. I like people like that. I think people who add color to the world are better than people who add dullness to the world. We don't need dull people. I'm sorry, some people might not like me wearing tangerine, but I like my tangerine color. So be it. It's better to be colorful than to be boring. Let's be honest. And he adds so much to the world. There we go. So Tina De Silva says £10. I'm not sure what £10 Tina means now. You press £10 multiple times from what I gathered, but I don't quite know. But I don't know. Maybe you meant to give £10, or maybe it came up 4 times. I don't understand. I don't know how technology works, but your £10 or your other donation was much appreciated. It's very kind of you. Do I want another £10? Oh, right. £10 to say what, Tina? Busted loves orange. Well, I urge you to go to Bernard Weatherall and buy clothes from them. They sell wonderful tangerine outfits, jumpers of this type, and they're perfect for the winter. I have no affiliation with that company. I don't know anybody there. I used to go to the shop in Knightsbridge when they were part of the Ray Ward gun shop, and I knew Ray Ward people. My friend ran Ray Ward with the Arab people that owned it, and I used to buy jumpers in there. And my friend Claire Zambuni was the PR for the shop, so she was more involved with the guns than she was with the clothes, but that's why we used to like the shop. And my dear Barbara Minto lived right across the road, and she used to buy me Christmas gifts there, and that's how I got into having anything from there. But my shirts, my jumpers, I love that shop, and I have coats from there. And yes, it's a shame that the shop closed down, but the greedy Carlton Tower was taken over, and that was the end of that. But yes, they've got zip-up fleeces reduced from £86 to £12.99, says Bambi Debonair. There you go. Good things for the winter. If you're out doing your gardening, perfect things. I've got a couple of those myself, but I am not anything to do with their business. I jolly well ought to be. The amount of customers I send their way. Many of my friends, from my friend in Oxfordshire, a journalist, to my friends in Hertfordshire, they all buy clothes from there. It is the most wonderful shop, and I love their clothes. So there we go. You'd like me to come to the Borough Theatre in Abergavenny? Well, I haven't been there, but maybe one day. Do I like chocolate? I only like dark chocolate. I don't like milk chocolate. I like Cadbury's Dairy Milk, but that's the only milk chocolate I actually like. I love dark chocolate of all sorts. Lots of wonderful chocolates out there, and anything with ginger in it is wonderful as well. You want me to go and see Jimmy Savile's old haunt in Glencoe? No, I've already been past that house. I hate that house with a passion. No. I believe that some Indian people have bought the building, and they're going to hopefully pull it down. People are objecting to them pulling it down. I say pull down the monstrous, horrible, evil abuse pad. It's disgusting. It's a horrible, ugly bungalow anyway. Let them build something new there that gets rid of the memory of it. I think the local community don't need that anymore. Do I prefer chocolate or fish fingers? Well, of course it's fish fingers. Fish finger sandwiches on white bread. And I did talk about this on Radio 4 only the other day. Grace Dent quoted me and talked about it. No sourdough, though. We have to have it on cheap white bread. That kind of white bread that you have to smuggle out of the supermarket because you look like you're a bit rough for having it. But frankly, I don't smuggle it out. It's not the walk of shame. It's the stride of pride. You take those things out. So no, I like to have fish finger sandwich, white bread, lots of tomato ketchup in my case, or a bit of mayonnaise also added. I can kind of mix it up, but that might be considered a bit cosmopolitan. Claudia says soda bread is really tasty. Well, it is, but not for a fish finger sandwich. No, fish finger sandwich has to be cheap white bread. It's what goes with your bird's eye captain fingers, fish fingers. That's what you've got to have. Sorry, but I will have a glass of Chablis with it, which is an expensive wine. But there we go. So anyway, we've done 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I wish to thank you all. Bambi says, I've never had a fish finger sandwich. Well, Bambi, you could lighten up your life, and you could change it a huge amount by going down to your local Tesco, Waitrose, or other brands are no doubt available, and you could spice up your life with a fish finger sandwich. Why don't you do it? I urge you to do that. And she says, I will do that very thing. I say good night to you all. Happiness galore. Good gardening. And as Jill Dando, the late Jill Dando would once say, don't have nightmares. Take care. Fish finger sandwiches, white wine, whatever you want. Bernard Wetherill, pip pip to you all. Take care. Good night.